You've lost nothing. As one door closes, God reveals greater divine purposes in 3 days. Hannah stood frozen at the church's altar, her heart heavy and torn. The words echoed in her mind as she gazed at the flickering candles that illuminated the sanctuary. Every flicker seemed a heartbeat, each flame a promise. Just days ago, her world had been shattered. After years of pouring her heart and soul into a job, she was suddenly out of work, with bills stacking up like fallen leaves outside. The burden of her daughter's college tuition loomed, casting a pall over her once bright spirit. In her desperation, she had found refuge among the deep oak pews of St. Mary's. Here she had often felt the gentle whisper of God. As she knelt, tears streamed down her cheeks like ancient rain, pooling on the cool stone floor. "Lord, show me your purpose," she pleaded into the stillness. The air around her crackled with expectation, as if heaven itself was bending to listen. Days passed, and the village gathered around Hannah's burden like a protective wall. They united for a prayer vigil, voices rising in fervent intonations. Each intonation felt like a tender embrace. St. Jude, patron saint of despair, was invoked with faith-filled fervor. "Please grant Hannah clarity," they called, lighting candles of hope in the cool evening air. In that sacred glow, they sent their cries heavenward, surrender casting a serene calm. The pastor, with an unshakable conviction, looked Hannah in the eyes, his voice a steady anchor in the storm. "In 3 days, a door will open that reveals God's greater purpose." Hope ignited within her, even as skepticism tugged at her heart. It felt audacious to believe, yet all she had was faith. The 3rd day dawned with golden sunlight spilling over the verdant hills. Yet as afternoon slipped away, despair threatened to engulf her anew. Hannah scoured the village for opportunities, but every attempt felt like a shadow chasing her. "What if there's nothing left for me?" she murmured, a hollow ache in her chest. Her faith felt like a mere whisper, drowned out by the thunderous fear that overshadowed her thoughts. But then, as she wandered through the market, enveloped in gloom, an old colleague radiantly approached her. Joy sparked in Hannah's heart, and their easy conversation flowed like a spring breeze, light and refreshing. As they exchanged laughter, her old friend shared news of a position at a nearby organization, a perfect fit for Hannah's talents. It felt like a celestial collision, the prophecy effortlessly aligning with her heart's longings. Yet doubts crept in, wrapping around her like creeping vines. Was this divine intervention or mere chance? As she weighed the implications, the vibrant community she cherished burst with excitement, echoing her inner turmoil. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Should she trust? Should she leap? As Hannah felt the weight of their prayers tightening around her heart, the truth simmered below the surface. This encounter was only the dawning of what God was orchestrating. If this door opened before her, might it reveal a path beyond her imagination? Hope flickered anew, igniting a spark of courage. Standing at the crossroads, she faced the greatest question of all. Was she truly ready to embrace the vast expanse of God's purpose, unfolding just beyond the horizon? Hannah spent the night wrapped in restless thoughts, the weight of expectation heavy on her mind. Sleep eluded her, replaced instead by a swirling montage of doubt and hope. As dawn broke, golden rays seeped through her window, illuminating the dusty corners of her room. It felt as if the sun itself was urging her to rise and confront the day. Today was the day. With a heart that could scarcely contain its turmoil, she dressed slowly, each movement feeling monumental. She looked at herself in the mirror, her reflection revealing the weariness etched on her face. The shadows around her eyes whispered of long nights and anxious prayers. But within the weight of fear, a flicker of faith remained alive. God has a plan, she murmured to herself, bolstering her spirit. Stepping out into the cool morning, the air was crisp and filled with possibility.
The village sounded alive, as if it too held its breath, anticipating what was to come. Hannah made her way to the town center, where familiar faces greeted her with encouraging smiles. It was a tapestry of love, woven together with threads of community. "You're going to do great today," a neighbor called out, his faith as reassuring as a comforting blanket on a cold night. Hannah felt warmth pool in her chest. Perhaps the universe was conspiring in her favor after all. Upon reaching the organization where her potential new role awaited, the building loomed ahead, majestic yet intimidating. She paused, heart racing. What if I'm not enough? The thought crawled into her mind like a venomous serpent. But in that moment, she remembered the flickering candles of last night's vigil and the deep-rooted prayers of her community. Taking a breath, she pushed open the door, feeling the cool breeze rush over her skin. Sounds of lively chatter layered the air, blending with the faint aroma of coffee and fresh pastries. It felt like entering a new world, pulsating with energy and promise. Hannah approached the reception desk, her hands trembling.
A friendly face welcomed her and guided her to the office where the interview would take place. As she waited, Hannah whispered silent prayers, her heart quickening with each moment. "Lord, grant me strength. Show me your purpose through this path," she begged. Just then, the door swung open. A woman stepped in, her smile warm and inviting. Hannah felt as if she were looking into the eyes of an angel, a human embodiment of grace. "Welcome, Hannah. I'm so glad you came," the woman said, offering her hand. The interview flowed like a river, each question drawing out nuggets of passion and purpose from Hannah's heart. She spoke about her experiences with fervor, igniting a light within her that had laid dormant for so long. The room buzzed with a palpable connection, the air swirling with unspoken understanding. Each exchange was a dance, guided by an unseen hand. But as the conversation meandered, doubt reared its ugly head. What if this was just a fleeting moment of hope? Hannah could sense the specter of fear shadowing her heart. The woman paused, studying her intently. "Hannah, you have such a light in you. We need that light here." In that instant, the woman's words pierced through the veil of uncertainty, igniting a flame of hope. Could it be? Was this what she had been waiting for? Driven by new fervor, Hannah stepped out of the office, the world appearing more vivid in the midday sun. Her heart soared, no longer tinged by doubt, but filled with possibility. She could feel the community's prayers wrapping around her like gentle arms, urging her forward. Yet as she walked toward her car, hope pulsed with anxiety, a familiar paradox. What if this was just the beginning of God stirring something profound within her? Hannah's breath quickened, sensing that this was more than just a job offer. It was a way back to her purpose. But even as her spirit soared, she lingered on one thought. If this door opened, what lay on the other side? Was she ready for the possibilities that awaited her there? With every step, she felt a divine tug in her heart, a whisper igniting an adventurous curiosity. As possibilities loomed ahead, Hannah knew she had to embrace the unknown. What awaited her on this new journey? Only one thing was certain: the adventure was just beginning. Hannah sat in her car, the engine humming quietly as the busy street bustled around her. She took a moment to collect her thoughts, heart racing in tandem with the world outside. The warmth of hope surged within, yet an unshakable weight still clung to her spirit. Gazing out the windshield, she watched the sunlight dance upon the golden leaves, nature's own reminder that, like the seasons, change was both inevitable and beautiful. As she turned the key and drove away, her mind was filled with contrasting emotions. A spark of excitement flickered deep within, but her fears swirled just beneath the surface. Had she truly found her place? Could she rise to meet the expectations that seemed to loom so much larger than herself? These questions snaked through her mind, creating a chaotic melody that made focusing on the road ahead difficult. Pulling into her driveway, Hannah took a deep breath, closing her eyes for just a moment. "Lord, show me the way," she whispered, feeling the weight of uncertainty begin to shift ever so slightly. It was as if in that instant she allowed herself to let go of the burden she had been carrying, trusting that God had orchestrated every moment up to this point. The next days passed like a gentle stream, swaying with both challenges and triumphs. Hannah busied herself with preparations and reflection, immersed in her routine. But each evening brought a sacred stillness, an opportunity for prayer and renewal. Her community's encouragement echoed in her heart, each message a rock she leaned on. "You're not alone, Hannah. God's got your back." On the third day, she awoke with a sense of expectancy. Something felt different, a stirring in her spirit. As she brewed her morning tea,
glancing out the window to the expansive sky, she felt a soft whisper beckoning her to deeper understanding. In those quiet moments, the divine began to reveal itself. Scripture began to surface in her mind, illuminating realities she hadn't fully grasped before. "For I know the plans I have for you," echoed through her thoughts like a sweet melody. Curiosity tugged at her heart. What exactly were these plans? The thought excited her and filled her with an invigorating sense of purpose. Setting her cup down, she reached for her journal, eager to capture the inspiration bursting within her. Page after page filled with hopes, dreams, and the tumbling truths God was patiently unveiling. Later that day, she received a surprising invitation. An acquaintance from church reached out, wondering if she would attend a community gathering. "We felt God calling you to join us. There's something special happening, and your presence is needed," they explained, their voice imbued with earnest enthusiasm. Hannah hesitated, the specter of doubt creeping back in. But then she recalled the warmth of community surrounding her, the palpable presence of grace that had been weaving through her life. With the initial fear swept aside, she replied, "I'll be there." The evening arrived, and as she stepped through the doors of the community center, she felt like she was stepping into a dream. There was laughter, joy, and an undeniable spirit of unity filling the air. Hearts were open, eyes shone bright, and Hannah knew she was in the right place. It was more than a gathering, it was a divine appointment. As she engaged with others, listening to stories of faith and transformation, Hannah sensed the pieces of her own life puzzle falling into place.
During a moment of worship, she felt the Spirit enveloped her, and with it, a realization washed over her. She was being invited not only to reclaim her purpose, but to share it. This journey was not solely about herself. It was about connecting, serving, and shining her light with others. But as she lost herself in this vibrant atmosphere, a flicker of doubt resurfaced. What if she wasn't ready for what God was preparing? A divine mission is not something to be taken lightly. Just as this thought passed through her mind, a woman approached her, a radiant figure who glimmered with the wisdom of experience. "God has equipped you for greater roles than you know," she said softly, eyes sparkling. "Trust him, Hannah. This is just the beginning." As those words reverberated within her, Hannah's heart swelled with wonder. What did God really have in store? What further truths were waiting to be revealed? Whatever lay ahead, she knew she was on the edge of a divine breakthrough, and the anticipation of that journey brewed a delightful excitement in her heart. What awaited her in this coming transition? The adventure of faith was calling her deeper still. As the gathering began to settle into moments of shared prayers and testimonies, Hannah felt a magnetic pull towards the front of the room. The spirit of the community wrapped around her like a warm blanket, enveloping her in love and encouragement. She could sense that God was about to do something extraordinary. She listened intently as a man named Marcus stood up, his voice steady but filled with deep emotion. He spoke of trials, of loss, and how through faith he had emerged stronger. His words swayed many hearts, drawing tears and smiles. Hannah felt a connection, each sentence resonating with her own doubts and dreams. It was a reminder that everyone in this space was on their own journey, navigating through the same valleys and peaks of life. When Marcus called for a time of prayer, Hannah sensed an urgency to step forward. Taking a deep breath, she made her way through the crowd. The warmth of trembling hands reached out to her as she stepped into the circle of faith. "I need strength," she whispered, feeling the weight of the moment press against her soul. And then it happened. As voices rose in unison, she felt an electric surge of energy sweep through her being. It was as if heaven had poured itself out, breathing life into each weary heart. Surrendering her fears, Hannah lifted her voice, joining the chorus of believers who were crying out for renewed strength and purpose. As tears brimmed in her eyes, she felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. It was the woman from earlier, the one who had spoken promises over her. "He's pouring out his spirit, Hannah," she affirmed, her smile radiant. "You are not just part of this community. You are about to lead within it." The words struck deep. Could it be? Had God seen her struggle and decided to lift her? She squinted through her tears, closing her eyes to focus on the divine courage flushing through her veins. In that moment of collective prayer, doubt began to dissolve like mist under the sun. Overwhelmed with gratitude, Hannah wanted to share, to tell the group about the stirrings in her spirit since she had been called to this gathering. Yet as Marcus stepped aside, another woman, a stranger, stepped forward,
eyes alight with purpose. "I've been praying for someone to help with our youth ministry," she announced. "It's growing fast, and we need fresh energy, fresh ideas. Would you consider leading some of our new programs, Hannah?" The room around her faded, leaving just the wild beating of her heart. This was it, the opportunity to pour out the gifts trapped inside her, hidden beneath layers of self-doubt. Could she really do this? I'd love to," she managed, feelings of fear wrestling with the burgeoning excitement surging within her. The words felt like a leap off a ledge into the unknown, exhilarating yet terrifying. As the room erupted in cheers and applause, Hannah's heart sang a complex melody of joy, disbelief, and apprehension. Yet deep down, a quiet confidence continued to grow. She understood that God may have closed some doors behind her, but in the divine plan, He was opening doors she never thought possible. That night, she went home with a new vision dancing in her mind, challenges to tackle, faces to engage, and lives to pour into. Each step toward this new path felt like a step toward her true self. But just as she settled into this exhilarating thought, a shadow of doubt brushed against her spirit again. What if she faltered? What if she couldn't meet their needs? The question lingered as she sat in the stillness of her room. But before she could spiral into uncertainty, a reassuring whisper crept in. "Remember, it's not about you, but what I can do through you." As Hannah laid her head down that night, dreams swirled with visions of the youth she might inspire and connect with. She felt called to step forward, to embrace her limitations as part of an unfolding testimony. What would it truly take to trust God in this new venture? Did she have the capacity to lead others in faith? She closed her eyes, anticipation buzzing through her veins like electricity. God was leading her somewhere profound. With the dawn of tomorrow, a heartbeat of expectation filled her spirit. What would be revealed next, and how would she rise to the calling? The morning light filtered through her bedroom window, casting gentle patterns on the walls. Hannah awoke with a sense of purpose that felt almost tangible. She stretched, eager to embrace the new day, her heart still racing from the promise of challenge ahead. In the quiet of her home, she sought direction through prayer. "Lord, help me," she whispered, clutching her Bible. "Guide me through this unfamiliar path."
As the pages opened, her eyes fell upon a verse that seemed to leap off the page. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Tears of relief streamed down her cheeks. This was more than just a dream. It was a promise, one she felt deep in her bones. With renewed vigor, she began to jot down ideas for youth activities and programs, her pulse racing at the thought of what was to come. Before long, Hannah found herself at the church, the bustling atmosphere welcoming her. People were moving about, laughter and conversations weaving a warm tapestry of community. She stepped into the youth room and instantly felt its energy, the walls already brimming with creativity and faith. As her mind whirled with ideas, the faces of young people flashed before her. What might they need? What struggles were hidden behind their smiles? Just as she began to doubt her capacity, there was a gentle voice at her back. It was Marcus again. "Hannah," he called, his face alight with enthusiasm. "I heard the good news about you taking on the youth ministry. This community is so proud of you." "Thank you, Marcus," she said, her voice steady. "I feel excited yet nervous. I don't want to let anyone down." Marcus chuckled softly, his eyes filled with understanding. "Remember, we all have our battles. What matters is how we show up. Lead from your heart, and they will follow." His words settled deep into her heart. It was not about perfection, but connection. With that realization, she began to establish an open forum for ideas. After a few moments, the room began to fill with vibrant young voices offering suggestions. As stories flowed, Hannah felt the Holy Spirit weaving through their laughter and shared experiences. "What if we did a retreat?" one Earl suggested, her voice bright with hope. "Or we could start a community service project to help our local shelter," another chimed in. Each idea sparked joy, igniting her spirit further. Hannah noticed how in the midst of uncertainty, God poured out the very gifts she needed through these youth. Every contribution helped build something beautiful, a sense of belonging, teamwork, and most importantly, faith. Soon they were brainstorming late into the afternoon. Their energy filled the space, weaving connections deeper than she'd expected. The fears that had haunted Hannah evaporated like fog under sunlight. She felt equipped, no, empowered.
The voices around her weren't just ideas, they were a movement that would usher in something new. But doubt returned as quickly as it had vanished. What happens when it's time to lead, she thought. What if my inexperience shows? At that moment, a well-loved youth leader walked in. "How's the planning coming along, Hannah?" he asked with an encouraging smile. As they engaged, she marveled at his calmness. Who gave him such peace? Was it the same spirit she had felt at the gathering?
Don't forget that moments of uncertainty are opportunities to see God at work, he added quietly, his gaze sincere. Your faith will shine brighter in the shadows. Those words wrapped around her, reassuring her once more. She blinked back tears, suddenly aware that each challenge she faced wasn't just hers alone. With every moment, God was breathing new life into this mission, filling it with divine purpose. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue through the windows, Hannah felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. Yes, she had lost bits of her old self, but in their place, God was crafting something new. Nevertheless, the tension of the unknown still gripped her heart. What would this journey truly demand from her? Would she discover strength beyond what she knew? With a heart full of questions and hope, Hannah stepped forward. The path was laid out, but the answers were still hidden within God's grand design. She took a deep breath, ready for anything. What would come next? Hannah took a deep breath, her heart beating with anticipation and anxiety as she prepared to step deeper into her role. Little did she know that change was already brewing like a storm in the distance, an unseen force that would soon unveil itself. The next day, morning light spilled through her window once again, but this time it carried a different energy. The air felt electric, charged with possibility. Hannah's prayer time had become her sanctuary, a moment of stillness where she sought clarity. As she lingered over her daily readings, she stumbled upon another verse that struck her. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. With each line, peaceful assurance settled over her like a warm blanket. Hope rushed in, washing away lingering doubts. You, Lord, are my strength, she whispered, letting the weight of his promises lift her even higher. As Hannah arrived at the church, she felt a change in the atmosphere. The youth room buzzed with eager anticipation. Marcus and a handful of young leaders had spent the morning decorating the space with vibrant colors and inspirational quotes. The room transformed before her eyes into a haven of creativity, reflecting the spirit that Hannah wished to cultivate. "What do you think?" Rachel, a shy girl with bright eyes, asked. She held a paintbrush, a smile stretching across her face as she gestured around the room. "It's incredible," Hannah beamed back, her heart swelling with pride. "It feels alive." "Just like us," someone chimed in, laughter bubbling forth. The room erupted into cheerful agreement, and in that moment, Hannah felt a sense of belonging bond them together. As if guided by an unseen hand, they began discussing the upcoming youth retreat. Ideas flowed effortlessly, fueled by infectious enthusiasm. Topics ranged from worship sessions under the stars to team-building exercises that challenged the young people's faith. Hannah felt the excitement of a new adventure, a journey they would take together. It was a tapestry woven with threads of laughter, tears, and shared hopes. Yet, just as the energy peaked, doubt knocked at her door again. What if they weren't ready? What if she wasn't ready? Fear whispered sinister thoughts. Who would listen to you, Hannah? Remember the last time? But then a reassuring presence broke through. "You're not alone in this," Marcus said, sensing her moment of uncertainty. "You can lead, but remember that good leaders lift others up. We're all in this together." His words struck a chord, and just then Hannah noticed a newcomer standing timidly at the edge of the room. A boy named Ethan stood wide-eyed, clutching his ukulele. She could sense the raw vulnerability about him. "Hey there," Hannah called, her voice ringing clear. "Would you like to join us? We're planning something special." Ethan hesitated, but finally stepped forward, a shy smile emerging. I was thinking I could lead some music at the retreat." Before Hannah could respond, the other students welcomed him with open arms, eager to include this new face in their plans. In watching them, Hannah felt a sudden surge of warmth. New beginnings were exactly what they all needed. Moments turned to hours, and laughter rang out in joyous harmony. Those precious minutes became holy ground. Connection blossomed effortlessly amidst their collective dreams. Sponsor or not,
She was part of this family now, a family united under God's guidance. As the day drew to a close, Hannah stepped outside to breathe in the cool evening air. She closed her eyes, grateful for the vibrancy of that day and the spirit that had ignited their gathering. Yet deep within her heart, a stirring whisper echoed, "What will tomorrow reveal?" Hannah felt the winds of change gently caress her face, promising fresh revelations. Something was coming, the dawn of a new chapter. The challenge of what lay ahead filled her with wonder. With palms open and heart expectant, she stood ready. "Lord, show me," she murmured again, excitement building like the first light breaking the horizon. What divine purpose awaited on the morrow? Would she find strength in the trials ahead? The sun peeked through the clouds, casting golden hues across the landscape, as if to announce the new day with a promise. With a heart full of wonder, Hannah stepped inside the church. A sense of divine expectancy filled the air, and she could hardly contain her excitement for what lay ahead. That morning, the group gathered in the youth room, their focus sharpening like arrows aimed at a mark. Hannah could see the determination on their faces as they settled into their seats.
She was grateful for each face looking back at her. Marcus with his confident smile, Rachel still tinged with shyness but glowing with courage, and Ethan, who now strummed his ukulele softly, warming up his voice as if preparing to lift them all closer to heaven. "Can you imagine how our retreat will feel?" Hannah began, her voice steady and filled with enthusiasm. She felt something deeper stirring within her, a revelation shaping itself into words. "We're not just going to sing songs or play games. We're creating moments where we encounter God together." A wave of energy rippled through the room. Eyes sparkled as her words resonated with their desires. She had touched the very core of their collective hope. "Let's break into groups and brainstorm. What do you all want to see happen?" she encouraged, her heart thumping with anticipation of their creativity spilling forth. As they split off into clusters, ideas flowed like a river, and Hannah wandered around, joining each group for a moment. Laughter mingled with serious contemplation. Every thought shared was like a bead being added to a vibrant necklace that would soon adorn their retreat. Suddenly, Rachel raised her hand, the shine of discovery dancing in her eyes. "What if we create a prayer corner where people can come and leave their worries behind? Just like the verse says, 'Cast all your cares on him.'" An excited "yes" echoed through the room, and Hannah felt a warm glow fill her heart. This was it, the realization of unity. She shared a deep understanding that God had a greater purpose for each one of them, intertwining their journeys in delightful ways. But as the clock ticked on, a shadow of doubt flicked at the corner of Hannah's mind again. What if they couldn't pull it off? What if the world outside crept in and shattered their joyful plans? She shook it away, choosing instead to lean into the truth she had read that morning about strength and soaring trust. "Let's pray," she urged, feeling the urgency to ground their enthusiasm in faith. They formed a circle, hands clasped, hearts open. Each voice lifted in affirmation. Ethan, still a new voice to the group, surprised everyone as he began to sing, his gentle tone weaving together the words of a song about hope and new beginnings. It was simple, yet profound, erupting from his spirit, as if he needed to share the very essence of God's promise. The rest of the group joined in, their voices rising to meet his like birds taking flight. The air crackled with an electric fervor, joy bubbling forth. Hannah was swept away in a current of gratitude, feeling God's presence engulfing them all. As the day drifted toward evening, she felt an undeniable shift within herself. What was once a faint whisper had transformed into a shout of certainty. They would not only prepare an event, they would create a movement of faith. When the bell chimed to signal the meeting's end, the group lingered, reluctant to let go of the moment. Each face lit with hope and determination. Hannah's heart sang, knowing that this was merely the beginning. They said their goodbyes, but as Hannah turned to leave, her eyes caught something flickering in the shadows just beyond the doorway. A figure stood alone, watching them with curiosity. As she stepped closer, her heart raced. What had God brought into her path now? Would this stranger hold another key to the unfolding story before her? "What is divine purpose?" Hannah whispered to herself, ready to discover the layers of mystery that awaited her. As Hannah approached the figure, the soft light from the church illuminated a young woman with unkempt hair and weary eyes. She looked out of place, yet there was something about her presence that felt magnetic. It was as if she was bathed in a light that contrasted sharply with her disheveled exterior. "Hi," Hannah said, her voice gentle. "Are you okay?" The woman looked up, a flicker of hesitance in her expression.
I, I was just listening. I saw the lights on and heard the music. It felt inviting. Hannah smiled, feeling a pull in her spirit. You're welcome. We're just a group of us planning a retreat where we'll be exploring faith and connection. The woman shifted, glancing back toward the door as if considering escaping into the night. I don't belong here. Her voice faded. Hannah felt a tug of empathy. Everyone belongs, no matter where they've been or what they've faced. She could feel her heart racing, realizing the weight behind those words. What's your name? Lila, she whispered, and I'm not sure I can face anyone right now. I've been carrying so much. Lila, Hannah echoed softly. What burden are you carrying? You don't have to bear it alone. Lila looked deeply into Hannah's eyes, and for a moment the world around them fell away. It was a divine moment, illuminated by an understanding that there are souls so close to breaking, yet ready for healing. I lost my job, my stability. I feel like I'm in a pit and can't climb out. Hannah's heart ached. That's a heavy weight. She took a step closer, empathy boiling. But we believe God has a greater purpose. It's in our brokenness that he shows his strength. The air felt charged, and Lila blinked, as if a glimmer of hope pierced through the fog in her mind. You really think that? I know that. Hannah felt a surge of courage rising within her. God can turn loss into new beginnings, just like the morning brings light after darkness. We can support you. Please, would you consider joining us for the retreat? Lila hesitated, tears shimmering in her eyes. What if I fail again? What if I can't? Then we'll help you. We'll lift you up, Hannah insisted, voice steady and warm. This retreat is about creating an environment of love and understanding. Together, we can lean on each other. At that moment, the church bell chimed softly in the background, reminding Hannah of the transformative power of community.
I'd like to try, Leela finally said, her voice barely above a whisper, but imbued with a newfound spark. I think I have to. Hannah's heart soared. It's a step. You're stepping towards healing. As they stood there, Leela's guarded exterior began to shift. It was as if the weight of her burdens, while still present, felt a little lighter. Hope was beginning to take root. The evening air turned chillier as the last light faded. Let's meet tomorrow, Hannah suggested with a beaming smile. We'll talk more about what we can create together at the retreat. You're going to be surprised how God can make a way where it seems impossible. Thank you, Leela said softly, eyes glistening, for noticing me. Hannah felt a wave of warmth wash over her, a whispered promise that more would follow this moment of connection. As they parted, Hannah knew in her heart that this was just the beginning. Leela wasn't merely a stranger. She was part of the greater puzzle that God was putting together. The following day loomed large in her mind. What awaited them in the journey ahead? Just when faith felt fervent, new trials often appeared on the horizon. What's God's plan for us? Hannah wondered out loud as she walked home, curiosity bubbling within her about what lay ahead at the retreat. Would they encounter more souls in need of hope? Would their journey together birth something far beyond their last ideas? Overwhelmed by questions, she knew God had more revelations to unfold. And a thought pierced her. What would they discover in the next 3 days? The dawn broke gently over the church, the sky painted in soft hues of pink and gold. Hannah awoke with a heart buoyed by anticipation. Today was the day she would meet Leela again and share more about their retreat. A sense of divine expectancy filled her, and she felt that something special was about to unfold. As she arrived at the church, a few others were busy setting up for the retreat. There was a buzz in the air, a delightful mingling of voices, laughter, and purpose. It felt like a tapestry of souls woven together by God's hands. Hannah welcomed the warmth and excitement, and soon found herself lost in the preparations. Before long, the doors opened, welcoming everyone into the inviting space. Those who attended held a mixture of eagerness and apprehension, each one carrying their stories, burdens, and silent prayers. Hannah's heart could feel the pulse of longing for something greater, something transformative. Amid the chatter, Leela stepped inside, appearing hesitant yet radiant. Her eyes glimmered with curiosity, but beneath that lay layers of weariness. Hey, she said softly, taking in the bright colors and welcoming faces. Leela, you made it! Hannah's smile reflected both joy and affection. She approached her, arms open, welcoming her into the fold of community. I almost didn't, Leela admitted, glancing back at the entrance as if fearing the pull of hesitation would still claim her.
But something kept urging me on. That's the spirit. Hannah whispered, joy swelling in her chest. "You're exactly where you're meant to be." As the opening session began, Hannah felt her spirit soar higher. The guests shared their hopes and fears, pouring out their struggles and victories, each one sharing pieces of their own journey. The vulnerability filled the room with a sacred atmosphere. Hannah saw that in each prayer, in every sigh and laughter, God's presence walked among them, lifting hearts and uniting them. Lila settled into a corner, listening intently. Hannah caught snippets of her expressions, flashes of realization, fleeting thoughts, and those deep moments when pain shadowed joy. There was a soul wrestling with her own narrative. It was beautiful yet heavy. During a quiet moment, Hannah approached Lila. "How are you feeling?" she asked, her voice dipped in warmth. "It's overwhelming," Lila confessed, glancing around at all the faces. "But I can feel something changing inside, like I'm awakening from a long sleep." Hannah's heart fluttered at Lila's honesty. "Those awakenings can feel strange. You're shedding old skins, and it's a process. But it's good. Trust it." "I want to," Lila replied, a hint of determination creeping into her tone. "It scares me, but I want to find whatever God has for me." "You're not alone," Hannah assured her, seeing a fire growing in Lila's eyes. "This journey we're on, we're in this together." As the day unfolded, Hannah witnessed God's grace unfolding through the little moments. Participants declared their testimonies, tears flowed freely, and laughter filled the sacred space. It was a tapestry of redemption that felt palpable, and Hannah found herself moved by the transformation happening around them. Toward the end of the day, they gathered for prayers and reflections, voices weaving together like a beautiful hymn. Lila's prayer was soft yet powerful, filled with gratitude and longing, a yearning to shed the layers of her past. "Help me understand my losses, Lord. Show me the way," Lila whispered with a rawness that hung in the air. Hannah sensed the shift. There was a spark, an echo of something remarkable happening within Lila's spirit. As the night concluded, the participants embraced one another, sharing warmth and encouragement. Lila lingered with Hannah, a hopeful light shimmering around her. "Thank you, Hannah. I feel lifted. I think I'm starting to understand that maybe losing my job wasn't the end. I've lost nothing. God is revealing new chapters." A smile crept across Hannah's face. "Exactly. When one door closes, it's only because God is leading you to open another. Imagine what's next." Lila's eyes lit up. What if the next 3 days are just the beginning? Hannah's heart raced. What indeed lay ahead of this journey? They were poised on the edge of something profound.
With the evening sky deepening, filled with stars, Hannah and Lila could feel the divine mystery lingering in the atmosphere. A promise of more awaited. The adventure had just begun. What would the next days hold for their faith, their healing, and their purpose? The sun rose gently on the third day of the retreat, its rays bathing the church grounds in a warm embrace. Hannah awoke with a sense of anticipation thrumming in her heart. Today was not just about personal transformation. It was about the culmination of their shared journey, woven together with faith and purpose. As she stepped into the main hall, she was met with the bustling energy of the participants, faces bright with hope and laughter, eyes shining with the joy of newfound freedom. It felt like a family reunion of souls, united in a mission beyond themselves. Hannah breathed in the sacred atmosphere, feeling God's presence enveloping them all. Gathered in a circle, participants exchanged experiences from the past days, their voices spilling forth with raw honesty. "I never knew how much I needed this," a young woman said, wiping away tears of relief. "To feel like I'm not alone, it makes all the difference." Each story shared became a thread in the tapestry of their collective healing. Hannah felt grateful to witness the miracle of connection and testimony unfolding before her eyes. She listened as Lila stood and spoke, her voice steady and clear. "I came here burdened with shame and loss. I felt like I would drown in my despair, but you have all lifted me up," Lila said, the sincerity in her voice breaking open the atmosphere. "I'm beginning to truly understand that God has gathered us here for a reason." The air shimmered with divine unity. Hannah's heart soared as she felt God's approval in this moment. Lila continued, "I thought I had lost everything, but now I see that it was just the beginning of something beautiful." With every word, Lila peeled back layers of self-doubt. The vulnerability she embraced drew others closer, igniting hope in their hearts. Hannah tore up the note she'd prepared. This was a moment led by the Spirit. Nothing scripted or rehearsed would come close to the authenticity radiating from these testimonies. "Let's pray," Hannah urged, gathering hands and hearts into a circle of prayer. As their voices melded in unity, Hannah felt a powerful wave of faith surging through them, building momentum.
Lord, you are a creator, she began, her heart overflowing. Transform our losses into opportunities. Let us be instruments of your light in dark places. As prayers whispered and tears fell, each participant experienced a shift, lifting burdens, shedding fears, discovering a purpose birthed from the ashes of their struggles. The atmosphere felt charged, electric with promise. After their prayer, they transitioned into the afternoon's events. Activities were purposeful, rooted in connection as each person shared their gift.
Leela led a session on vulnerability, her voice a balm to aching souls, as she encouraged everyone to embrace their stories. It was a testimony of God's redemption. The ugly turned beautiful in His hands. When it was Hannah's turn, she spoke about faith and courage, recalling her own journey of doubt and despair. Each of us carries scars, but they don't define us. Instead, they tell our stories, stories of hope, healing, and the grace of God that restores us to wholeness. She spoke with fervor, her spirit radiating warmth, igniting a fire of passion within the hearts gathered around her. Hope blossomed, and she couldn't help but to smile, arms wide open to encompass the light now glowing in the room. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting hues of purple and gold, the time had come for the final gathering. Everyone felt the sacredness of the moment. They were on the brink of something life-changing. They settled into a circle, eyes turned toward Hannah and Leela. "Listen," Leela began, voice steady yet filled with wonder. "I want to thank each of you for being a part of this journey. Your love has transformed my heart. I'm no longer bound by my past. I choose to walk into a new future. I want to help others the way you all helped me." A wave of applause erupted, resounding against the walls, echoing through the very bones of the church. A celebration of transformation, a reminder of the strength and unity. God was moving. A fresh wind of revelation swept through the space, reminding them that their stories were intertwined, each thread a precious contribution to God's great narrative. As the evening drew to a close, Hannah took a deep breath, feeling a pure sense of joy wash over her like a cleansing stream. She had come to understand her own purpose anew. Every door that had closed had led her here, to this moment, to this community, to every soul who needed light. Finally, Leela looked across the circle and spoke up, her voice echoing with conviction. "Let's promise each other that we will continue this work. Our story is just beginning. We need to go out and share this love with others who are lost. We need to shine light into the darkness around us." "Yes!" Hannah cheered, her heart swelling with gratitude. "This is not an end. It's just the beginning of something amazing." As the group exchanged promises, laughter rang out, a symphony of healing that filled the room, lifting each heart higher. They shared contact information, pledging to continue supporting one another in their journeys ahead. As Hannah stepped outside into the cool night air, she lifted her eyes to the stars above, each one a symbol of hope and purpose. She realized that God's design was grander than she'd ever imagined. Each loss was a stepping stone toward a divine destiny. That night, as she settled into bed, she reflected on God's goodness. Her heart was warm with gratitude for the transformations they had each embraced. They had honestly faced their pain, but now they were walking towards the light, together. "Lord," she whispered, "what's next?" A soft peace enveloped her, and with that question lingering in her heart, she closed her eyes, eagerly ready for the adventure to continue. Now, my friends, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire your spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread this message of hope. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this beautiful ending, a reminder of God's wonders. And don't wait even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of faith. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions. Let's spread the light together.